It was formed with a common interest of football. And today we're going to put the spotlight on a type of football, and a football that we all know and love. We passionately down here in the South, whether you are Presbyterian College Blue Hose fan, whether you are SEC or ACC, you know what I'm talking about when you talk about college football and the passion that we wish our summers away. We literally wish our summers away to get to when the Blue Hose and the Tigers and the Gamecocks and the Bulldogs, everybody start playing college football. And today we have three wonderful speakers that's going to be able to come to you and bring you that aspect of college football. I can tell you today we're going to put the spotlight on the Presbyterian College Blue Hose, but I've kind of encouraged Coach Spangler, because we all love our Blue Hose. They are our college football team, and we wait patiently for them to take the field. But he's a Georgia Bulldog. He's from down there in Georgia, played for Ert Russell, the Junkyard Dogs, the SEC champions back in the 70s and the 80s. Coach Spangler's there, so we're hoping you get a little bit of that as well. And then Mr. Charles Waddell, as you all know, we read the paper, we know that Connor Shaw is now the quarterback's coach for the University of South Carolina Gamecocks. And we had him coming to speak. I, as a Clemson fan, can tell you there's nobody that embodies the fighting Gamecocks than Connor Shaw. That man beat Clemson by himself for 5 years, and I'm just scared to death they're going to give him the head job and he does it again. But Charles Waddell, who is his special assistant to the athletic director, he's told me not to he said it's okay, whatever questions you want to ask, so we'll get that at the very end, but Mr. Waddell filling in, and Mr. Adams got him here today, and we're so thankful. And also for the Clemson Tigers, also a Clemson Red Devil, Al Richard is going to be our speaker, two-time state football champion for the Red Devils, and also a member of the Tigers, and he's going to close it out for us, and then we'll have our door prizes. But I want to put the spotlight first on Lawrence Electric and PRTC. So James and Mason, if you would stand, Miss Sharon O'Brien, who's Human Resource at PRTC, she's on our board. So we got two game day sponsors. You see them up here. You see the placards there on your table. This is who brings this touchdown club. I remember Chris Weiner telling us all one time in a board meeting that he appreciated this club so much because we get it right, because it's about the young men that sit here at these front tables. That's what this touchdown club is all about. It is about them and their exploits on the field, the Raiders, the Crusaders, the Red Devils, and on Saturdays, we just can't wait to get over there and pull for the Blue Hose. But for Lawrence Electric, what can I say? We'd like to have our power, we'd like to have our heat on. Well, you can't do it without Lawrence Electric. PRTC, you know, one of our game day sponsors, I work for Farm Bureau. Without PRTC, I couldn't even do my job. They have the internet up and running, and they do a great job. So that we'll talk more about Lawrence Electric and PRTC. We want to thank James and Mason for being here today. We put a new thing in this year, what we always do first, and that is our Lawrence County Touchdown Club Players of the Week. And 2 weeks ago, it was a little running joke at Clemson High School. Gene and Coach Harold Nichols joked with me is when we awarded Ja'Cory Gary here at the Touchdown Club, I kind of bragged on him because he's got some Joanna roots in there. And that's more of a Joanna thing than it was a Clemson Red Devil thing. But Harold and Gene, about midway through the first quarter, said, I believe you motivated Bryson James. He done made about 10 tackles in the first quarter and scored a touchdown from the defensive position to help the Red Devils get a safety down there. I mean, he was playing like a man possessed. So I want to tell you a little bit about Bryson James. Bryson James is a young man that plays outside linebacker, running back. He does it all. He is the player of the week from a couple of weeks ago. And this young man, I'm going to quote Coach Corey Fountain. Bryson James is very tenacious on defense, refuses to get blocked. He has an unstoppable motor. Simply put, Bryson James is a force to be reckoned with on defense. Bryson recovered 47 points on the Red Devil chart, how defensive players score points. They call it the headhunter chart. He had 4 tackles, 1 for loss, 4 quarterback hurries, 2 sacks, 1 caused fumble, 1 fumble recovery, 1 defensive touchdown, and he even broke up 1 pass. And he led all rushers in that game with 77 yards. Coach Fountain says he's a pleasure to coach and looks forward to seeing him make even more plays in the future. As voice of the Red Devils, I'm going to tell you this. The reason Red Devil and Clemson Nation is excited about the 2021 Red Devil season that'll come next year is because of this young man right here, the player of the week, Bryson James. Congratulations. Also, young man, I can honestly tell you, I've been wondering when this man was going to win this award. Because now you want to talk about speed. It's been told to me this young man's been clocked at 6'6" in the 60-yard dash, okay? I know he's a great baseball player, and for the player of the week on November the 13th, I'm going to read this to you, and this is going to be Cal Robertson from Lawrence Academy. He plays both ways, on offense, wide receiver. On defense, he's a cornerback, plays on special teams. They beat Holly Hill. They lost to Holly Hill 50-36 to conclude the year, but the Crusaders had an 8-4 record, and this young man playing wide receiver, cornerback, just what he did in the 2020 campaign, and they too are excited about Cal Robertson coming back, making tackles, deflecting passes, a big game. He's only a junior. He is the epitome of what it means to be an all-purpose player. Last week's player of the week for the Lawrence Academy Crusaders, Cal Robertson. You can't. Congratulations. We want to shout out to the Red Devils who concluded their year. The Lawrence Raiders have concluded their year, and now the Crusaders have concluded their year. We want to be in prayer for Coach Kirk, who couldn't be here, battling through the situation there that we all know is COVID. So our prayers and thoughts go out to his family. And we got a special treat. We're going to let Lawrence Academy go last, since they were the last team to play. And their assistant coach, their basketball coach, Travis Plowden, will be speaking here today. And he's got some special mentions about the Crusaders. I want to say first and foremost that I've already forgot something, so I'm going to go ahead and correct this error now. I'm going to ask Pastor Letson if he will stand, because we need to return thanks for our meeting.
God, in the midst of all the things that worry us and frustrate us in these days, there remain so many things for which we should be grateful. And so we pause to thank you for the food that we're receiving, for the friendships that we enjoy around these tables, for the communities of which we are a part, and for a sport that we all enjoy that in these days gives us a sense of relief from all of the pressures and anxieties of this time. God, this is a season of Thanksgiving. And so help us to stop and to count our blessings, because they continue even when life is challenging. And so thank you for who you are and for what you do in our lives. Help us as we seek and sense your nearness and your blessings. In Christ's name, amen.
Thank you, Pastor Letson. I do want to remind everyone that in 2 weeks, December the 2nd, that's a Wednesday night, we'll be having our banquet, at which time we will unveil the all-county team. Who are the Crusaders, who are the Raiders, who are the Red Devils that make up that all-county team, at which time that night we will announce who the county coach of the year and the county player of the year. That's in 2 weeks, December the 2nd. It'll be right back here at the Ridge, and looking for a great night. That really is where we culminate the Red Devils, the Crusaders, and the Raiders. And today, as we have our college football day, before we get that started, because we probably will go to about 1:15 today, got a lot to do, but hey, we celebrate the season that many of us thought would never even have happened, and we're still waiting on our Blue Hose to start their season. Up first, I want to bring up Coach Darrell Smith of the Lawrence Raiders. Raiders season got halted prematurely, but he's building too for 2021. So this is Coach Darrell Smith of the Lawrence Raiders.
All right. Yes, it was a weird beginning to the season and a weird end to our season. Actually ended on a Wednesday night phone call. We had Blair, and then we had some people that were quarantined. Off of that, we had about 20 or so players that were quarantined, just weren't able to finish out. But we're, we talked about this. We were extremely excited about the fact that we even got to play any games this year. It's really a success that we were able to get out there and compete. And these three guys I brought with me kind of epitomize the good part of this season. Just great players, yes sir, no sir guys, and just always doing anything that we ask them to do. And that's Stephen Franco. Stand up for him here, Steve. All right. Ryan Elledge, the receiver, and Will Yates, another offensive lineman for us. But they, all right, they just do a good job of representing our school on and off the field, and just glad they could come with us today. But we are looking forward. Our season's over now for this year, but we're definitely in the evaluation process, trying to figure out what we can do better. We also probably starting up our weight program November 30th when we get back from the Thanksgiving holidays is our plan, and kind of moving on to the next season after that. All right, thank you.
Also up next, we're going to ask Coach Fountain to come. Red Devils here lost a tough one over in Union County. They too had their season come to a premature end that we weren't expecting. But as I've said, like Coach Smith has said, these are two fine coaches along with Coach Kirk that's really building for the future. And I know Coach Fountain's got a lot of big hopes for our Red Devils. This is Coach Corey Fountain of the Red Devils.
We also, even though we weren't expecting it to, our season was going to come to an end prematurely, as well as we had some contact tracing with COVID this past week as well, and we wouldn't have been able to play even if we'd wanted to, the Raiders. So it kind of, I guess, just trickled on down towards us, and it is what it is. You got to adapt and adjust, and that's what this whole year has been about, adapting and adjusting. Today, I brought Bryson James as Mr. Buddy's already talked about him. He's an awesome young man, always smiling, comes to practice every day, ready to work, ready to give everything he's got each and every day. And that means a lot as a coach. When you get to go to practice, you look forward to coaching a kid. And we have a lot of young men like that this year. And we had some really ups and we had some downs this year as we went through the season. We were able to end on a high note. We were able to play Strong Thurman. Bryson himself scored as many points as they were able to score. And anytime your defense can score more points than the other team's offense, is going to be a good night. And it's fun when you can impose your will on defense. I played offense and I played defense, and I tell players all the time, there is nothing better than hitting someone and you're on top of them and they're on the ground. There's nothing better. If you haven't done it, you just wouldn't know that feeling. It's better than scoring a touchdown. And to see Bryson James coming off the edge, it might have been the second series after we had already coming off the edge and hitting that quarterback. There's no better feeling. Like as a coach, I don't know about fans, but if you played football, that's awesome. And that's what this young man brings to the program. And we got other guys who like to do that as well. And they get after it. And the future is bright for the Red Devils. And we're in the weight room as soon as we get back from our virtual tour in class or in school. We're going to be back in the weight room as well. And right now, you self-audit yourself. You look at offensive film and see if there's tendencies you're giving away. You look at defensive film. And you just look, like you said, you just audit yourself. And you see what things you can do better, what you need to improve on in all season. And you start working immediately. And a lot of our coaches are doing that as well. And I look forward to seeing Bryson make a lot of plays next year. Not only on defense, you'll get to see him run the ball next year as well. Thank you.
We're taking every precaution we can to help, with the battle against COVID. We're going to get the mics clean as we pass them around. But up next, it is an honor for me to introduce this man. Many people outside of Lawrence Academy might not know Travis Plowden. Let me tell you who Travis Plowden is. This man is the biggest Alabama Crimson Tide fan in the state of South Carolina. No doubt about it. He coaches basketball there at Lawrence Academy, does a tremendous job, does so much to promote those kids. Coach Kirk, he just like Coach Fountain and Coach Smith, there's always somebody behind the scenes that's making it happen. Up next for the Lawrence Academy Crusaders is Coach Travis Plowden.
Good afternoon. Thank you for allowing us to be here. I am athletic director and assistant coach for our Crusaders, and I probably have one of the toughest jobs in the county on Friday night. I have to try to control and manage Todd Kirk. That can be very difficult. I had an official one time ask me how many Red Bulls he's had before a game. I said 0, and he was a little surprised that was true, but you know, it can be crazy. Unfortunately for Coach Kirk, he had a family member test positive, and that word we hate to hear so much right now, contact tracing, came into play, and so he's got to miss some time. But I am honored to be here, and we had a very good football season this year. Unfortunately, on Friday night, it ended at Holly Hill when we lost there. But I do want to take some time to honor some of our players that made a lot of that season possible. We finished 8-4, got to the semifinals, and that's the best year we've had in 10 years at LA. Some of our players that were named All-Region this year, if you just stand when I call your name: Carson Venable, senior offensive defensive lineman; Judson Watkins, played predominant linebacker but did play some backup quarterback. Stay standing, Carson. Relis Littleton, offensive lineman, defensive lineman; and Clarence Patoli, who played H-back and played a lot on defense as well. Those 4 were named to the All-Region team, and they're a big reason why we finished 8-4 this year. Two superlatives came out of our region. One of them is already someone who has been honored today for the Athlete of the Year, like an all-purpose back. We have Cal Robertson. Cal plays just about every snap. I don't think he came off the field against the Holly Hill. He plays wide receiver, a linebacker, cornerback, a lot of times on defense. But Cal Robertson was named Athlete of the Year. And last but certainly not least, our quarterback senior Thomas Lowry, who accounted for over 60 touchdowns, either rushing or throwing, 1,000 yards rushing, 2,000 yards passing. For the first time in a long time, we had one of our players named Region Player of the Year, Thomas Lowry. Very well deserved. We're very proud of our Crusaders and what they were able to do. Buddy, we really appreciate the Touchdown Club. A lot of organizations, all-star games, sports, etc. When COVID hit, they shut it down, and you can't blame them. But y'all worked really hard to provide this opportunity for our young people, and we really appreciate that. Thank you.
Okay. Before we move into our college portion of it, I've invited one of my best friends ever in the world. But I didn't invite him because he's a friend of mine. I invited Jay Gardner here today because in the future, we will add a 4th team, high school team, to the Lawrence County Touchdown Club. I'm proud to make that announcement. The Thornwell Saints will once again be a part of the Lawrence County Touchdown Club. Jay's brought his people, that's what I'm going to refer to him as, Jay. So I'm going to ask you to come up, another Red Devil great in his own right, to speak about the Thornwell Saints, Jay Gardner.
Thank you, buddy. And I could probably tell you a lot of stories about him, and he could probably tell you a lot about me as well. I think it was 2006 was the last time that I was able to stand here before the Touchdown Club. It was Thornwell's last season, and we were recapping our season. And about a year ago, Norman Dover, who was the athletic director at Thornwell at the time, reached out to me and said, "Hey Jay, we're starting athletics back. Would you like to be a part of it? Would you like to come on as our athletic director?" And I said, "Well, what does it pay?" And he's like, "Well, it's a volunteer position." So I jumped at the opportunity, and we began planning. And I guess, in March, kind of everything came to a standstill with the pandemic. And we began again this summer. And, it's just, we sent our survey home to our parents asking them, "Hey, what do you guys want? What athletics do you want?" And overwhelmingly, the number one sport was football. So, and as many of you know, football is very expensive, and you just don't snap your fingers and have a football team. So we began planning. We made a transition here a few weeks ago where we needed a full-time athletic director. I worked full-time. I was doing it on a volunteer part-time basis. And we brought Kayla Duncan, who's here with me. Wave, Kayla. Kayla's going to be our athletic director, and I'm moving more towards the president of the Booster Club because we have no athletic budget whatsoever. Well, there's not a line item in our budget for athletics, so everything we do has got to be through fundraising. But this year we was able to offer cross-country, volleyball, and we're going to have boys and girls basketball. Springing forward to the spring, we're going to do baseball and golf. Now, football, again, we said is very expensive, and I know that's what we're here to talk about. Kayla has put together a 2025 plan where we want to be as we continue to add to our school. Our target date is probably the 22-23 or 23-24 school year for football. Just to be realistic, just because of the expense it takes. One thing we're doing now is we're building a state-of-the-art weight room. We both agreed, Kayla and I, and our administration, if we're going to be successful, we got to have strong athletes. We got to have well-conditioned athletes, and not only just for football, but for every sport. So our first fundraising project is, of course, going to be our weight room, and as we get the weight room built, we'll progress towards football and other sports as well. But I tell you, I'm personally just excited to be here. I mean, I see Coach Richardson here, who I had the honor to play for, and Monty, a lot of people that I know. And Thornwell was a part of the landscape of Lawrence athletics for a long time, and it ended in 2006, but the Saints are back. And we're looking forward to it, joining Clemson High, the Lawrence Academy, and the Raiders, and of course PC is building a great tradition. Lawrence County has a great tradition of athletics, especially football. So we're ready to become a part of that again. And I'd be glad to talk to anybody afterwards if you have any questions about Thornwell. But I thank Buddy for the opportunity, and hopefully we'll be up here in a couple of years talking about a Thornwell football Saint game. Thank you.
Okay, I told you now we got to put 10 pounds in a 5-pound bag. We're going to the college football that we all know and love. And up first is going to be our college coach, Coach Tommy Spangler. You know, I've introduced him many times. Had Peyton here last time to introduce him. Our Blue Hose, he's going to give that report. You know, they hadn't got started yet, but they're working hard. Now, I'm just going to tell you this about Tommy Spangler. It's been said this is a defensive genius, and I believe that. You know, it was said one time before a coach got the job at Tennessee and wanted this man to be his defense coordinator. And so people who thought they was really smart didn't want that to happen. That coach would probably still be at Tennessee if he had took this man with him. But he's going to tell you this, and I'm going to tell you this. What he's really most blessed with is his lovely wife, Kim, his 3 children, Gracie, Peyton, and Pierce, who are doing great in their own right. Peyton's coaching now for the Red Devils in football field. He's the head JV baseball coach. Pierce coaches with his daddy with the Presbyterian College Blue Hose. This is a man that literally believes you fight guys to the next play because you don't know. He's famously said, it's not points till it goes up in lights on that scoreboard. And if you just keep playing, they may fumble that next play. This is a man that bleeds Presbyterian College blue. This is a man that works hard. He gets in a bunker at Presbyterian College over there and gives literally his entire life to the Blue Hose. Our head coach of our county football team, Coach Tommy Spangler.
I wear this shield anytime I address a crowd. And I've heard over the years, Coach, even back before COVID, you should have been wearing that screen because the front row got hammered. But because I get going a little bit. First, I want to start by just head coaches, players, awesome job. A lot of things you can't control. All right, but to have the season to do what you did, I've been following you. Incredible. I know what you're going through. All right, all the trials, tribulations, that type thing. I just think the world of you, and I'm glad you were able to play. Maybe not quite as many games as you wanted to, but you were able to play games. I've got two special guests. First of all, Tyrese Moses. Stand up, Tyrese. I brought Tyrese, guys, to represent Lawrence County. I couldn't bring them all, okay? And some of these guys needed to be in class anyway, but Tyrese played at Lawrence High School. He's a junior, all right? Also, in this county, we've got Mark McGowan that played at Lawrence. We've got Jordan Austin that played at Lawrence. We've got Ryan Campbell that played at Lawrence. And we've got Greg Sanders from Clinton High School. And they're all just doing an absolute awesome job. And we appreciate the heck out of what this county's been able to do for us. We look forward to getting some Lawrence Academy guys. We look forward to getting some Thornwell guys eventually and making it a great situation. You can sit down, Tyrese. With Tyrese is Colby Campbell. Colby Campbell's our starting linebacker. They both play linebacker. Colby's one of the all-time leading tacklers at PC. He will be after his senior year. He's here to represent these seniors. Appreciate you being here, Colby. Hey. Real quick, I don't have long, because I asked Buddy, you know, I was supposed to be the guest guy here several weeks ago, and it didn't quite work out because of COVID and that type of thing. So he asked, I said, how long I got? He said, 10 minutes. You got 10 minutes. But here's what I want you to talk about. I want you to talk about your playing career at Georgia. And I thought, and then I responded, what you want me to do with the other 9 minutes and 30 seconds? It's crazy. I mean, look at this guy. Charles played North Carolina, NFL, Al, Clemson. Thank God Connor Shaw wasn't here. You know, here I am talking about my playing career against these guys right here. I'm glad I'm going first. But I would think if Coach Kirk was here, tell him I said this, he may be the only one I could brag about having a better playing career than. And I really am fibbing about that, because Coach Kirk was a good player. He was a heck of a center on some very good Tennessee ball teams. And I'm telling you, he's a heck of a player, and if you don't believe me, just ask him. Quick about my playing days. All right, I'm gonna make this quick and yank me when I gotta get off. Played at Georgia. I was a walk-on. I mean, heck, 150 pounds when I got there. Walk-on, 150 pounds, University of Georgia. You know, it was kind of a Rudy type story. Everybody was wondering, what are you doing? What are you doing that? You should go play here, play there. But that was kind of a dream of mine. I knew I wanted to coach. And I kind of became, as a freshman, a JV player / after JV practice, bring you to varsity practice and get pounded on. I knew all the trainers, all right, because I lived in the training room. And that was what kind of freshman year it was. And then finally, as a sophomore, my knack, believe it or not, was rushing field goals and extra points. We had a kicker named Rex Robinson that I absolutely gave fits, and he got so ticked off at me and pissed off. And eventually, Coach Dooley said, we're going to give you a shot. We had just played Tennessee. That was the game Herschel ran over Bill Bates. Y'all remember that one? All right, so we come home to play Texas A&M, and I get my first shot. I'm just on extra point field goal block. Okay, nothing else. That's kind of my expertise, and Coach Dooley wanted me to do it. So we beat Texas A&M 42-0. They didn't try an extra point or a field goal, so I didn't play. Next week against Clemson. All right, now look, 80, national championship year now. Clemson wins it in 81. He referred to Scott Warner. Scott Warner saved me. I'm not sure I would be here, guys, if it wasn't for Scott Warner. I would be dead. I would be dead. Because in that game, they had a kicker named Obed Ariri. Obed Ariri had the longest field goal streak in the nation for Clemson. 15, 16, 17, I forget what it was, and sure enough, I saw here, Tommy Spangler gets a shot, and my dream in life, so everybody, it was kind of that Rudy thing. I wanted to kind of prove to people that, hey, I did get a chance to contribute and play. I wanted Larry Munson to say, Larry Munson, who was the best broadcaster ever in the game, and that would be cool, So sure enough, here comes O'Reary out, here comes I out. They try the first field goal. He's got this long streak, and boom, I just miss it. But he pushes it to the side. I missed it. No good. Breaks the streak. Of course, I'm jogging off the field going, I'm close. I'm going to get this next one. All right, I'm going to get big game. So sure enough, we hit the field again. Here comes O'Reary. Here comes Spangler. And I'm thinking in my mind, just get a better jump, and you'll block the sucker. All right, and Larry Munson will say your name, and everything's going to be awesome. And sure enough, I got a better jump. But before the ball snapped, they gave them a first down, and they went in and scored. And that's where I'm saying, thank God for Scott Warner that game, because I was over on the sideline. Please win this game somehow, all right, or I may not ever get to live. The other thing, South Carolina, Charles, true story, 1982. I finally worked myself off the scout team. I was a DB, okay? And by the way, Cal, I ran better than 6'6". I ran 6'2". But it was in the 40. So I finally get off the scout team, and I get to hang with the good DBs. Now, I was still second, third team, but I was in the mix to practice with the good DBs. Well, one day, sure enough, the scout team running back goes down. So what's he do? He kicks me in the scout team running back. Now, what a dummy I am. I actually did good. I was running all through it, pissing them off and everything else, They were all getting. So I not thinking, I permanently became the scout team running back. There again. I became the trainer. I was the trainer's favorite guy. But in the meantime, and I say, in 1982, I scored on a 56-yard touchdown versus South Carolina. Now it's a JV game. It was a JV game. But, I'm telling the truth when I scored against South Carolina, 56-yard touchdown, because sure enough, an hour or so before the game, this is the truth, an hour before the game, the coach comes up, we need a running back. I see you've been running back on scout, I'll do it. And I went 56 yards. And then as soon as I got back to the locker room, I had to change and go to practice. That's just how it used to work. And so that was kind of my career right there. And I met so many great coaches. I knew I wanted to coach, and it was a heck of a situation. Last thing I'm going to talk about, Keith Pearson, Ethan Williams, Colby Campbell, Trent Carrington, Rod Haygood, Tyler Wilhelm, Aaron Buick. 7 seniors. Now, I'm not going to be long, but follow me on this now. This is important, okay? These guys came to us in 2017. Colby was one of them. Signs with Presbyterian College in February. Well, here come the rumors start. About midway through the season, the talk of Presbyterian dropping scholarship football was more than just a rumor. It was the talk. Can you imagine? And at the time, we probably had 20 to 22 signees with another 30 walk-ons with a class of about 50 in 2017. Could you imagine what they were feeling? What have I done? They told me to come to PC. They signed me to a scholarship. They told me everything. We're going to do this. And within 6 months, we dropped scholarship football. And sure enough, guys, sure enough, what happened is, all of a sudden, we meet on a Sunday after a Saturday win against Gardner-Webb to finish the 2017, and the president tells us we're dropping scholarship football. And what happens is, you guys on scholarship can stay and you don't have to play football. Well, a lot of the other guys said, I'm gone. Coach, I love you and I love the program and I love what we're about, but I'm not staying if it's going to be like this. These guys stayed. These guys hung. Then, 2018, with diminished, with maybe 10 or 12 scholarships, we're playing Kennesaw State and Monmouth and Campbell. We're playing teams with 60 to 63 scholarships. That's a little unlevel and at times getting the hell beat out of us. Somebody asked me the other day about COVID. How hard's it been going through COVID season? I said, look, let me tell you what's hard. What's hard is going to work on Saturday and competing your butt off and getting the crap beat out of you and knowing you got to find a way the next week to get motivated again to go make another run at a team that may beat the hell out of you again. But these seniors, they hung, man. They hung. They hung. So we do that in 2018, 2019, and then here we go, 2020, they don't have a season. Now I think you even care more if you're a parent of theirs or you're a coach or so forth, but they don't even play a season. Now I'm hoping we get 6 games in the spring, but now we're, all of them, and I'm almost done, all of them could have a year next year. Do you know that's the rule in college football right now? Everybody, this year doesn't even count. You can come back next year. Same classification, everything else. These guys can't because we're going into a non-scholarship league and at one time they received money, so the Pioneers not going to let them play. I got a quote right here. You are defined by your actions, not by your circumstances. This senior class epitomizes that quote. I'm telling you about it. My email's easy. Spangler@presby.edu. Email me. I'll give you our seniors' email address. Write them a note. Tell them how much you appreciate it. It's been hard for them. Now, great education, great experience. Have made it. This is not a pity party. It's not a pity party. But that's the kind of leadership we got with 7 guys. We don't talk about that much, you know. Coach, you know this. Coach, you know this. Coach, you know this. 90% of the time we talk about the 10% that don't want to do right, and 10% of the time we talk about the 90%, all right, that are doing right. You know, so in a way what I'm saying is maybe on the outskirts looking at PC, things aren't going so good, they're not playing, they drop scholarship, or that. That's what it's all about right there. That's life, man. You talk about leadership, you talk about getting it done when everything's against you. 7 guys that have survived through it all. And I appreciate you, Colby. And I appreciate those other 6 of you. That's all I got.
Will you 2 men stand one more time? I'm asking Mr. Herb Allen to come up here because Mr. Waddell's filling us for the last minute for Connor Shaw. I want to give him the proper introduction he needs. They got a big week and they got a lot on the plate, so I can only imagine what Mr. Waddell is feeling right now, having to stop what he's doing to come to Lawrence, but we're thankful. And I'm going to ask our legend right here in the county, a man that bleeds Garnet as much as anybody I know, Mr. Herb Allen.
I bleed, that's for sure.
Before I introduce Charles, I'd like to say something. I had the pleasure this year of having a granddaughter play volleyball, and they'd go play Clemson. And it was, Buddy was there on a day where he introduced all the seniors and recognized the seniors. And it was inspirational to hear how much he admired them and to tell about them. I think the Touchdown Club, and watching Buddy up here get emotionally involved with these kids every week and know about it and talk about it, I think we owe Buddy Green a hand. First, I want to tell you, I met Charles Waddell in 2006, and I remember meeting him, introduced to him, saw him around a good bit. We sit pretty close to each other in basketball. I've talked with him a lot. In football, we sit fairly close to each other, or did until this year. But I'm going to be very honest with you. I didn't really know Charles Waddell. And when Buddy called me and said, hey, listen, will you get some information to Michael Seymour? And then I did, and I read Monty's article about Charles. And I found out, and I said, oh my God. Here's a guy who was 3 times, a 3-sport level at the University of North Carolina, football, basketball, and track. He was an All-American his senior year at North Carolina in football. As a high school athlete, he was recently recognized. The University of North Carolina went back 100 years and named the top 100 high school athletes in the state of North Carolina. And Charles Waddell was one of that. He played pro ball with the Seahawks and the Buccaneers, and I forgot the other one, Charles. But his career is just awesome, and I knew him and didn't realize it. But I told Gwen as we were getting ready to come out here, I said, you know, the best quality about Charles Waddell is his humility, because he never talks about himself. And so it's a pleasure to welcome Charles to Lawrence County Touchdown Club.
There you go. All right. Well, we'll be quick. We're going to save you a couple minutes to have. Yeah, you got a couple minutes left. But thank you. It's my pleasure to be back here. Last time I was here was in 2009. And a little better time for us during that time than it is right now. But first and foremost, again, thank you. And I got to say something about Herbert and Gwen. They're 2 of my favorite, if not my favorite people that I've met here at the University of South Carolina and in the state of South Carolina. They are just really, really good people. But back when I first got here, I just come down in February. I hadn't been here that long, maybe a couple months, and I went to Eric Common, the AD, said I missed football season, but I'd like to go with the men's basketball team to the SEC tournament in Nashville. And we were in the playoff game. I thought it would only be, going for a game and then come back home. Well, that year we ended up playing in the playoff game, and then we made it to the next game. Everybody we beat was ranked, and we ended up losing in the championship game to Florida that year. So we played 4 games in 4 nights. And I had the pleasure of sitting right in front of Herbert and Gwen. And if you've ever been to a sporting event with Gwen, I hope you were within further out than arm's distance. I guess social distancing now would help you. But Gwen was apologizing to me the whole weekend because she was just beating on me. I hadn't been beat on like that since the time I played against Randy White when he was up in Maryland. Randy and I were in the same class, but I did have to have it checked out when my shoulder. It was okay. But what I love about her is she reminds me of my wife. My wife is the same way, and I know I used to coach AAU basketball, and I remember one game we were coaching, and the official stopped the game and came over and talked to me. I didn't know if somebody on the bench said something or whatever, but he came over to me and he says, "Can you do something about your wife?" She was walking up the other side of the court, from one side to the other, coaching and yelling at the officials. So she gets excited about the games as well. But I would like to commend the Lawrence Touchdown Club for what you guys do here. With the way you support football in this community and the things you do. You know, football is under attack there for a while for safety reasons. And every morning I get up and creaking and hurting and all that. I think about it sometimes too, but and, you know, and we've had some people come out and say, I wouldn't let my kid play. I wouldn't want my grandkids to play. But I'll tell you one thing. Football is a lot safer today than it was when I played, because we were taught to lead with our head and do a lot of things that have been proven not to be safe for you. I mean, my coach used to say, "Bug those eyes," because he wanted you to look it in with your face down, you know, on the block. You can't lead with your head anymore because of the injuries that it causes. Now, I'll tell you this: it is still a physical and a violent game. Because these guys are bigger, stronger, and faster now than we ever were. I mean, my rookie year, we had one guy on the team that was 300 pounds at the San Diego Chargers. One. And there are a lot of high schools around here where the offensive line average 300. So kids are bigger, stronger, faster, but the game is safer now because of the techniques and the way we coach them. But I'll tell you, football would be missed if we didn't play. I owe a lot to football. It provided me with an opportunity to get an education, and I was the first person in my family to have a college degree, and you know, that was very important. But the life lessons that I've gained out of football is unlimited. I think football is the best team sport there is. Because you got 11 people out there on the field at one time that have to be in sync or the play won't work. All right? I mean, there are other good team sports, but nothing like football. The things that football gave me, and it gives each and every one of these guys here that you see, and it builds character. You overcome fear, okay? And if anybody ever tell you they were never afraid on the football field, they're lying. You know, because some of the things that you have to do, you got to overcome fear. Like I said, you know, when you get down and you got to go block Leroy Selman or Randy White or go down on the kickoff, if you aren't afraid, you don't need to be out there. You need to be in a straitjacket. And it requires hard work. Because if you don't work hard on football, you're going to end up getting hurt. You know, it's when you slack up and you mess around. Coaches tell you all the time, you got to be full speed, you got to have attention to detail, or you'll end up getting hurt. And that is the truth. Obviously, we got a lot of stuff going on in Columbia these days. We replaced our coach on Sunday, which was very difficult because Will Muschamp is a good name. Will Muschamp did everything we thought he could do except for win enough, okay? Everything else he did, he was great with our student athletes. Those players love him. He was a good teammate. He was good to work with in the building. He recruited well. He represented us well. And when we broke the news to Will on Sunday, and we met with the team probably about half an hour later, he was the first one to speak to his team. And he says, guys, I've just been relieved of my duties. I know this is hard for everybody, but this is life. This is not going to be the worst thing that ever happens to us. He says, and it's football and the business that we're in is a production business. He said, we did everything we could, we worked hard, but we didn't win enough. And he says, it's no different than when you guys come into my office and sit down and say, Coach, I'm doing everything you asked me to do. I come to practice all the time, never late, I try hard, and I hadn't missed anything. And his response to them was, but you gotta be productive to get on the field. If you don't produce, you're not gonna play. And that's the same way whether you're going to the NFL or you're going to get a job. In everyday life, you gotta produce, or you're gonna not be in the game. So that's the kind of man that I'm talking about, was involved with those student athletes over there and trying to teach them life's lessons. And again, he came up short. Hey, 3 years ago, Will Muschamp was ahead of Steve Spurrier as far as breaking the all-time winning, having the most wins of anybody ever at South Carolina in the first 3 years. He would have broken, but things happen. Okay, things happen. And it's how you respond to the adversity and whatnot. 20 games later, now he's fired. After 3 seasons of doing very well. We ended up with 9 wins and beat Michigan in a bowl game. But, you know, again, that's life. And that's what we have to deal with. And that's what you guys are going to have to deal with the rest of your life. Our next coach, hopefully it'll be somebody that's a good leader and that can recruit, because the way Clemson has it going on now, and the way Georgia has it going on now, and the way North Carolina has it going on now, makes it difficult for us to recruit kids. And so we, you know, because South Carolina's not that big. We produce more people in the NFL per capita than any other state. But it's very simple. You don't have enough. We got as many kids on our team from Georgia than we do South Carolina. That's just the way it is. The coach also needs to be courageous, because he's probably going to have the toughest, in my opinion, the toughest schedule in the country. You're playing in the SEC most of the time, and then you got Clemson at the end of the year. Now, I mean, what's that to deal with? That's a hell of a schedule that you got to face every year. And he needs to be a good fit for the institution and the state. And I think that's one thing that Clemson really got it right with Dabo. He's a good fit for him. And we need to find somebody that's a good fit for us there in South Carolina. This week is going to be a very difficult week for these guys. Monday was not a good practice. Yesterday was a little bit better practice. Or they were off Monday, but Tuesday and then yesterday, Wednesday was a better practice. And hopefully those guys get ready to go. Hopefully they get in that stadium, smell the grass, and, you know, just, hey, you don't have many opportunities to play this game. And so they need, hopefully they'll take advantage of it and go out. Missouri's a trophy game for us because they're in Columbia, Missouri. And so we have a little trophy that we have with them. So hopefully we'll keep that trophy. But it's an opportunity to go out and play the game. It's an opportunity to go out and win. And with the way things are going, hey, you know, anything's possible. But again, it's been a crazy year. I didn't think we were going to be able to play football. I really didn't. I think the things that you guys have done to overcome all the adversity that we've had to face this year, to get out there and do what you did in a short period of time without being able to come together as a team and do all the things that you normally would do to be able to play, my hat's off to you. I mean, because it's very, very difficult. Before I give you my prediction for the championship, well, I'll tell you right now. I think right now, I'm not a betting guy, but I would say that my two favorites for a championship game, and this is no secret, would be probably Alabama and Clemson, as it has been mainly for the last 5-6 years. I think they got the best all-around teams, but that doesn't mean that they're going to win. They got to go out there and they got to play. Because the best team athletically doesn't always win. And I know we're running close to time, but I got to share this story with you. And this is one. My senior year, it was an okay year. You know, I was all ACC tight end my junior year, going into my senior year, wanted to be All-American, wanted to get ready for the NFL. And as a tight end, my head coach, Bill Dewey, was the offensive lineman. And, you know, he thinks throwing the ball, 3 things can happen. 2 of them bad. And so we had 2 tailbacks on our team to gain 1,000 yards. They never played at the same time, ever. So you know we weren't getting many passes. And over at Clemson was a guy named Benny Cunningham. God bless his soul. He passed away a couple of years ago. Benny was helping tight end. He took away my all-ACC tight end. I did get one. I was Sporting News All-American, but Benny got all the rest of them. And I go into Coach Dooley the week before the game. I said, Coach, come on, you got to throw it to me a little bit. You know, we're going down there and playing Benny, just find a way. And he said, we'll do the best we can, Charles. We'll do the best we can. Well, Clemson helped me out. They jumped on our butt. They ran out of cannonballs that day. And so we had to throw the ball. Well, I ended up with 3 touchdown passes and called a 2-point conversion. I scored 20 points that day. It's still a record there at North Carolina, but you know, yeah, we got our butts beat, but it was a little bit of consolation for me. So thank you very much for the opportunity, and I think we may have some questions for those of you who have a little bit more time. All right.
Still packing everything in. I know some may have to go. Hope our kids don't, because the next speaker is a young man. I'll still call him a young man. And let me do this part first, because Al Richard is the husband to a beautiful and devoted wife, Helen, who is also a Clemson grad, a father to 3 amazing children. Sarah, a Clemson grad, works in HR for the city of Rock Hill. AJ, his son, Clemson grad, getting his master's in education and teaching in Anderson. Will, who's a senior at Woodward Academy in Atlanta, just signed a basketball scholarship to Belmont University. You know, when I told Coach Richardson about being here today, Coach always wants me to call something I may know that he would interest him. He said, I'll be there. That's a young man that he knew was going to be successful, not on the football field, but in life. Al is a proud franchise owner, operator of Chick-fil-A on Cleveland Avenue in Atlanta. About ready to start his second franchise. Prior to working for Chick-fil-A in 2017, he worked in the nuclear industry for 25 years on various construction projects throughout the company. Last year, I had the honor to stand here and introduce a personal friend of mine, J.D. Fuller, who's one, and I'll tell you, Don't take long to call roll Red Devil greats with J.D. Fuller. Al's family graduated with his uncle, Tony Kiner, still one of my best friends to this day. And I can remember Al as a young man who played in the band. You heard that right. What instrument you play, Al? Bass, drum, and trombone. Now, legend has it that Coach Richardson went to him and said, "Son, I need you on the football field." The rest is history. Last year, I said J.D. Fuller was a two-time state football champion for the Red Devils. Again, a two-time state champion football player for the Clemson Red Devils. Recruited uniquely by Danny Ford, concluded his year with Ken Hatfield in 1992. There's a story in Clemson that goes something like this. The man who takes personal credit for Al Richard going to Clemson is Ted Davenport. And he tells it like this. He's the one that picked Danny Ford up, took him to Al's house, and sit outside of the car, and he wanted to send his best to you. Mr. Ted Davenport told me to tell that story. But of all the things I could say about Al Richard, this right here is going to do his heart better than anything. The pride of Oakdale Acres subdivision in Clemson, South Carolina, Al Richard.
Good afternoon, folks. I'll try not to be long, and I know we've had a full morning so far, but what I'm going to say today is really for these young guys, the Lawrence Raiders, Lawrence Crusaders, Clinton High School, and ultimately the PC guys. I can tell you, first, before I get started, I want to say thank you to the Lawrence County Touchdown Club, because for me, this is like a homecoming for me. Being a part of the history and the tradition of Lawrence County football, man, it's amazing. It's amazing. And for what you do, buddy, I thank you for everything that you've done and the friendship over the years. You've been a friend of the family for a long time, man. We thank you for everything you've done. But thank you all for having us all back here today. I want to say also to the sports writers. I see Money Dutton, and do you have any other sports writers here today? All right, how you doing, sir? Thank you to you guys, because back when I was playing, before we had social media and everything, we couldn't wait for Thursday to get a copy of the Clinton Chronicle or the Lawrence Advertiser and see if our name was in the paper. So thank you so much for everything that you all have done and are doing continuously throughout the years to promote Lawrence County football. So thank you guys. So I'll begin today. I just want to say that 2020 has been a very difficult year for a lot of us. And one thing, as I go back, Buddy talked about Coach Richardson. Coach Richardson told us back in '85 when we were going to trying to pursue a state championship. He said that I'm going to put you guys through every tough situation that you can possibly be in order for us to reach the goal of becoming a state champion. He stayed true to his word, because he was one of the first men that ever made me wonder if I was meant to play football or not. He put us through some tough things out there. But at Clinton High School, we have something called the intangibles. And they're sayings that epitomize your mindset. And I'm gonna tell you, football is not just a physical sport, it's a sport that you have to have the right mindset in order to be successful. And so one of the things that really stands out, and particularly in 2020 for me, is a saying that says, tough times don't last, but tough people do. Tough times don't last, but tough people do. And it's all about that mindset that starts. And if you're gonna play football, Mr. Waddell alluded to it, you gotta have the right mindset. Because what you don't wanna do is be on a team and you don't have a mindset where you're gonna win and you're gonna do what it takes to be successful. Because as Coach said, he talked about, Coach Fountain said that one of the greatest feelings is going and knocking somebody out and standing up over and looking at them. You know, you gotta have a mindset to go do that. You know, that's one of the reasons why my kids didn't play football, because I saw it. They didn't have the right mindset. I didn't want to go spend a lot of time at the hospital, you know, dealing with them because they didn't have the right mindset. And so, you know, I'm thankful for the opportunity in 2020 that we can still pursue and play and compete with college football. So, this week would have been what we would call rivalry week. This is the week before the Clemson and the Carolina football game, right? And so, when it comes to Clemson and Carolina, you're really not concerned about the record, because with respect to the record during that game, it doesn't matter because people are going to give their very best because they want bragging rights. They want to go 365 days so that they can tell the other team, the other players, that, hey, we kicked your butt. And so with that being said, it goes back to this mindset. And for Clemson, there was a mindset shift in October 13, 2008. It was actually when Dabo Swinney became the coach of Clemson University. He became the interim coach. And I can recall that when he became the coach, he had all his coaches in there, and he said, before we take this field, I need to know that everybody's going to be all in. So you guys heard all in, right? You heard about all in? So all in is basically a mindset that says, I'm going to give 110%. Going back to intangibles. 110% was one of the sayings on our intangibles list. And so he wanted to know that everybody that was out there, and particularly the coaches, which are the leadership, he wanted to know that they were all in with him. Because he was taking over for Tommy Bowden. And of course, like I say, football is a production business. If you don't produce, if you don't win, you know, you get changed out really quick. And so that's the nature of the game, that's what it's all about. But he wanted to make sure that everybody was all in. And so he wanted to make sure that everybody's going to give their very well best in order to succeed and help them achieve their goals. So, all in, if I could explain all in a little bit better, I would like to explain it in this phrase. And it is this: goals impact performance, and performance impacts your life. Goals impact performance, and performance impacts your life. So you got to understand, what is a goal? A goal is actually you sitting down, taking the time to think about an achievement and the effort that it's going to take to get there. A lot of people are not successful in life because they don't take the time to think about, what am I going to do? What is it going to take for me to make straight A's? What is it going to take for me to be on the football team? What is it going to take for us to win? And when you start examining that and you start thinking about that, you say, well, man, it's going to take me studying to make straight A's. It's going to take me spending time in the weight room in order to get stronger to make the football team. It's going to take an effort by you to go achieve that goal. And so goals are important because goals help you focus your performance, which is your actions, attitudes, and behaviors in order to achieve what you want to reach in life. But for your goals have to have integrity. And what do I mean by that? In other words, integrity is when what you do lines up with what you say. In other words, goals do not have reality until an action affirms them. Goals don't have a reality until an action affirms them. So I challenge you, young men, and young ladies as well, because I don't want to discriminate, but I challenge all of you to not be afraid of the challenge. I challenge you to give your very best, to give your 110%, to be all in with everything that you do in life. And so for me personally, faith and football go hand in hand. And I would be remiss to stand up here and not say something about my faith when it comes to football. So when I talk about goals, Proverbs 23:7, it says, as a man thinks, so is he. Everything you do, it starts right here. So if you don't think right, you won't live right. If you don't think right, if you think you're going to lose, guess what? It's going to manifest in your actions. If you think that you ain't worth it, guess what? It's going to manifest in how you live, how you carry yourself in life. And so it's important that you understand that goals are necessary for your life. So, for me, what really changed for me in life was at the age of 24. And I wish I had heard this sermon when I was in high school, because I think I would be doing so many things different now than what I'm doing. But I heard a sermon by Dr. Miles Monroe, and it talked about the power of purpose. And during that sermon, Dr. Miles Monroe asked a question. He said, do you want to go to the richest place on earth? So I started thinking about that. Man, I'd love to go to the richest place on earth. And then I started thinking, okay, well, where is it? I said, is it the diamond mines in South Africa? Is it Fort Knox? Is it Dubai, you know, those oil-rich countries? And then I patiently waited for him to say what it was. And what he said next shocks me. It shocked me, and it changed my thinking about life. He said, the richest place on earth is the graveyard. And I want you to understand what he means there. Because there are so many people that die and leave this world with unfulfilled potential because they didn't challenge themselves. They didn't try to give their very best. They weren't all in life. And so when I heard that, I was like, my goodness, you know, life is a gift. And Ephesians 2:10 says that we are God's workmanship, created in Christ Jesus to perform good works that he prepared in advance for us to go do. So that means there's treasure in each and every one of us. And when you understand that there's treasure in each and every one of us, you know that you've got to do some work to go get it. Most treasure that I've ever seen or ever heard about is not just lying on the ground, which means you can't just go pick it up. You got to challenge yourself. You got to go work to go get that treasure. And if you work to get that treasure, you'll realize that there's more of it, but you're going to have to continually work to get to it. So, with saying that, you got to understand that since we are God's workmanship and he has created us in his image to perform good works, that we can't be afraid of the challenge, and we've got to be all in life. Because, as you can see today, we're going through some tough times. And we need to have some tough people in order to help get us through these tough times. Why do people love football so much? Because football is a symbolism of life. You get knocked down, you have to get back up. Why do people get upset when they lose? Because football is just like life. You get knocked down and you have to get back up. You have to keep on going, you know? And one of the things that the Word of God tells us is that in this life, you will have trials and tribulations, but take heart, for I have overcome the world. And the world is all the people and all the issues that people have in the world. Jesus Christ has overcome all of that. And when you understand that, that gives you the strength and the ability to keep on digging for that treasure that he placed in each and every one of us. So that's my message for you all. I don't want to talk about me because I'm an old has-been. Coach would always call us old has-beens. I'm an old has-been, and you know, sometimes, you know, when you look back on your life and you say, well, man, there's so many things I could have done better. My challenge to each and every one of you is to not look back on life with regrets. Be all in, because life is a gift, and you got to give your very best, your 110%, in order to get all that God has for you out of it. Thank you.
I want to thank Mr. Charles Waddell, Coach Spangler, and Al for being here. We've heard 3 unique messages, 3 unique people. Well, we celebrated college football, we celebrated football. I'm going to ask James and Mason, they come up. The last thing we would do is pick some door prizes, let you go home here. We sat here for a long time, but I tell you what, I feel like we need to pass the offering plate. That's what I feel like we need to do. You know, here's what I can tell you. That man there loves the South Carolina Gamecocks. This man right here loves Clemson Tigers. That man right there loves Presbyterian College Blue Haskins. What do you love? What do I love? Live your life with a passion. Live your life with a purpose. That's what I heard here today. And for the Crusaders, the Raiders, the Red Devils, and the Blue Hose, let's go win some championships. That's what we need to do. Okay.